This is the story of how a former fourth overall pick, signed by the defending WNBA champions to help them repeat, ended up waived in the middle of the season. The third time in 4 years she's gone without a WNBA contract for an extended stretch. Chennedy Carter has more raw talent than almost anyone else in the league. She also has a habit of leaving teams under a cloud. And in July of 2026, both of those truths caught up with her at once. Here's exactly how it happened. Start with who she actually is. Because before any of the controversy, Chennedy Carter ranked among the most decorated guards college basketball had seen in years. At Texas A&M, she became the program's first player ever named an All-American, and she earned first-team All-SEC honors in each of her first 3 seasons on campus. Her freshman year alone, in the 2017 to 2018 season, she averaged 22.7 points, 4.9 assists, and 3.6 rebounds a game. Numbers that made her the first player in school history to win National Freshman of the Year. By the time she left after her junior season, she had piled up 1,983 career points, just 7 short of the program's all-time scoring record. That's how close she came. She still ranks in the top 10 in 11 different statistical categories in the record books. That kind of production is exactly why the Atlanta Dream selected her 4th overall in the 2020 WNBA draft. Her rookie season landed in the middle of the shortened COVID bubble year, and she played 16 of Atlanta's 22 games while averaging 17.4 points. Everything pointed toward a long, productive career. That's when the first sign of a pattern showed up, one that would follow her for the next 6 years. During a loss to the Las Vegas Aces in July of 2021, Carter reportedly got into an altercation with a teammate on the bench after a player tried to talk to her during a timeout, and things escalated quickly. She left the game early and never returned for the second half. And 2 days later, the Atlanta Dream suspended her indefinitely for what they called conduct detrimental to the team. 11 games. That's all she got into for the rest of that season. Atlanta traded her to the Los Angeles Sparks in 2022, where she played 24 games and averaged 8.9 points. That partnership didn't last either. The Sparks waived her in March of 2023, before the season even started, and she didn't play a single WNBA game that year. Instead, she headed to China and joined the Heilongjiang Dragons in the WCBA, where she led the entire league in scoring at 28.9 points a game. Here's the pattern that starts to take shape. Whenever the WNBA doors close on her, Chennedy Carter goes overseas and dominates instead. Keep that thread in mind, because we're coming back to it. In 2024, she got another shot and signed with the Chicago Sky. On the court, it turned into arguably the best season of her WNBA career. A team-high 17.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 3.1 assists a game across 33 games. 2024 is also when Carter became a household name for an entirely different reason. On June 1st, in a game against the Indiana Fever, she delivered an off-ball shoulder foul on rookie Caitlin Clark. Officials initially waved it off as a common foul with no review at all, but the league went back, reviewed the play anyway, and upgraded it to a flagrant one. Carter wouldn't discuss it afterward, telling reporters, quote, "I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions." The fallout reached further than just her. Teammate Angel Reese picked up a $1,000 fine for skipping media after that game. And the Chicago Sky organization itself got hit with a $5,000 fine for the same kind of media policy violation. Clark, for her part, said she was trying not to retaliate against the physical treatment she was getting as a rookie. Despite the numbers, the Sky moved on from Carter that off-season. Chicago declined to extend her a qualifying offer in January of 2025, which made her an unrestricted free agent, and Chicago Sun-Times reporter Annie Costabile later explained why, citing multiple league sources. Players were unhappy with the dynamic Carter created in the locker room, a dynamic that had gone unchecked under then head coach Teresa Weatherspoon. And league sources also flagged worries that keeping her around could hurt Chicago's chances of attracting other free agents. The result was straightforward. Chennedy Carter, coming off a team high-scoring season, went completely unsigned for all of 2025, and not one of the league's teams brought her in. She did what she had done before and went overseas, first signing with Adelitas de Chihuahua in Mexico's LNBP Phenom, then with Wuhan Shangfan in China's WCBA, where her scoring average climbed even higher to 31.4 points a game. That brings us to 2026, the chapter that's still unfolding right now. The Las Vegas Aces, the defending WNBA champions, signed Carter to a training camp contract in April of 2026, a non-guaranteed veteran minimum deal worth $277,500 for the season if it ever became guaranteed. For a title contender, it was framed as a low-risk swing at high-end scoring off the bench. At first, it worked. Carter came out of the gate hot in May, putting up numbers in the range of 17 to 19 points a game off Las Vegas's bench, depending on which stretch you're measuring. On May 28th, the Aces lost 95 to 87 to the Dallas Wings, and Wings rookie Azzi Fudd dropped 22 points, with fans crediting Fudd for shutting Carter down. Carter fired back at fans on social media, writing in part, quote, "Not to mention, I made her ankle touch the ground. but y'all can holler at me when my leash is off too. Read plainly, it was a shot at her own reduced role on the team. The backlash came fast, and even former NBA player Michael Redd weighed in publicly, saying, quote, "A real friend needs to log her out of her social accounts right now." Something in that Aces locker room shifted right after, and it showed immediately. Carter played fewer than 10 minutes in the very next game, and early June brought more trouble. She missed roughly 3 games with a left leg injury, returned for 2, and was ruled out again with an unspecified illness. There was one clear bright spot along the way. On June 30th, she scored 18 points in 25 minutes in the WNBA Commissioner's Cup Championship game, a 93-85 loss to the New York Liberty. That game doesn't count toward the regular season, though, so it isn't part of her official stat line with the team. Outside of that, her role in actual regular season games shrank fast through the end of June and into July. Just 3.8 points a game on 35.3% shooting. That's what she averaged across her final 5 regular season outings with the Aces, a steep drop from where the season had started. Her final regular season appearance for Las Vegas came on July 5th, an 84-68 loss to the Indiana Fever, in which she played 15 minutes and didn't score at all. 2 days after that, on July 7th of 2026, the Aces waived Chennedy Carter outright. The timing here matters. July 7th was the WNBA's mid-season roster deadline, the date by which teams had to waive players on non-guaranteed contracts or watch those deals become fully guaranteed for the rest of the season. Cutting her that day meant Las Vegas avoided paying out the remaining $277,500 on her salary. That same day, the Aces signed guard forward Justine Pissott, a 2026 second-round pick out of Vanderbilt, who had been a developmental player with the Indiana Fever, effectively filling the roster spot Carter had just vacated. Head coach Becky Hammon gave almost nothing away when reporters asked about it. Days earlier, when asked why Carter's minutes had been so limited in an overtime win, Hammon had offered this, quote, "Chennedy should be good to go. Just made an executive decision there on what I liked and what was working." After the waiver, asked directly about the move, all she would say was, quote, "We aren't going to comment on players that aren't here anymore." That silence fits a pattern. Every team that has cut ties with Chennedy Carter, Atlanta, the Sparks, Chicago, and now Las Vegas, has offered little to no public explanation for why. What we know instead comes from reporting after the fact, not from team statements made in the moment. As of late July 2026, Chennedy Carter remains unsigned by any WNBA team. 3 separate seasons, 2023, 2025, and now potentially the rest of 2026. That is how many times she has gone without a WNBA contract for an extended stretch. That is out of just 4 seasons total since her Chicago run began. True to form, she had already found work elsewhere. About 18 days after the Aces released her, Carter signed with Sichuan Yuanda, the reigning WCBA champions in China, for their 2026 to 2027 season, which begins in November. It is her 3rd stint playing in China, following Heilong Jiang in 2023 and Wuhan Shangfan in 2024 to 2025. A league where she has led the scoring charts and consistently ranked among its top performers. As of today, July 27th of 2026, here's exactly where things stand. Chennedy Carter has no WNBA team. She's under contract with Sichuan Yuanda in China's WCBA, but that season doesn't tip off until November, which means she hasn't taken the court for them yet. Right now, she's a former 4th overall pick sitting outside the league that drafted her, waiting on a season overseas to begin. That restarts everything. Former NCAA All-American Chennedy Carter was drafted 4th overall and led leagues in scoring. She has been released by 4 WNBA teams, usually with silence from the club and information that indicates off-court strife more than performance. She may be signed by another WNBA team, as publications have speculated. But for now, the pattern holds. Chennedy Carter returns abroad when the WNBA releases her and continues scoring at an elite level anyway.